just as I finish a project, it's time for another one. This Saab 95 2.3 Aero. I bought this pretty cheap, it was 1500 euros, and it's got one problem that we'll get to it, but yeah, it's a wagon. It's an Aero, so it's got all the good bits. It's got the nice later model steering wheel. It's an automatic sadly, but other than that, everything's good in the front. It's got memory seats, heated, it's got the folding mirrors and everything. In the back we have a box full of parts, spares, like all the good stuff. It also has like brand new winter tires, refurbished wheels. There's another set of wheels in the back. There's summer tires, and they're 18s, these are the 17s. The only problem spot is the rear hatch. There's some rust here, but that could be solved. It has the wing, missing antenna, of course, it's a Saab. Under here we have the B235R. It already has some goodies on it, like the diverter valve, some silicone stuff. So this has 370,000 kilometers. This engine has been rebuilt in the past. It's like the second motor already, but there's a build in there. It has like brand new pistons and everything. It's been fully rebuilt, but then we get to the problem with this car. It has rod knock. The previous owner told me he got something fixed on the car. He drove it and the oil light came on. Supposedly somebody took the valve cover off and put a ton of silicone instead of a new gasket. All the silicone went into the oil pan, into the pickup, and it starved the engine of oil, so the light came on. It has a little knock when it warms up, but the weird thing is, when you start it cold, there's like no knock, and after you run it like for like 10 minutes, then you start to hear a sound. Today we're going to inspect what actually happened to this car. We're gonna jack it up, take the oil pan off, and see the condition of the bearings. Maybe if the crank is okay, then we're gonna take off the oil pump, see what's up with the oil pump, and if all of that is okay, then maybe this is salvageable. Otherwise, if the crank... Okay, so here we have number 2 cylinder bearing, and as you can see, it's worn through at the middle. You can already see the bronze underneath. This should be a nice groove at the end there, but it's all the material that's pulled up in there because it got a little hot. Here we have the crank. As you can see, it's actually not too bad. Just feel it a little bit with the nail, like just a little bit. I've taken all the rods off, the bearings all look kind of the same, some material missing and everything, but then the first main bearing that I took off, now this is where the dreams come to die. That's worn through and through, there's like material coming off it, and yeah, that's pretty bad. This is where the main bearing came off. You can see there's like massive grooves in there. That's like a massive lip in the middle of the crank, so the crank is dead. There's no reason to take off any of the other bearings because this is trash. The engine sadly is trashed, so we're gonna have to look for a replacement. I found a couple. They go for around $1,000. Yeah, the 235R is a bit more rare, but we can get maybe the L, which is exactly the same, or even the E. It's just like minor differences in the head, but it should work perfectly fine if we swap over the turbo. Our next step, I guess, is to yank this one out. Project removing the engine is already underway. Getting the coolant out, removing all these pipes at the top, the battery. Luckily this car has a lot of space, so only thing that gets in the way of getting this whole thing out with the trans is like right here, so we should be able to tip it up here and get it out with the crane. So I'll just keep on working, getting all these pipes off. We have to remove the power steering lines, the trans cooler lines, and all that good stuff. So here we have it, one blown up B235R. God damn, this was a pain to remove. You have to remove like every single bit of the engine, all the brackets, crank pulley and everything, so you can get this goddamn thing out. I destroyed the radiator, I snapped this off with the engine, but we're gonna replace it while we are in here. That's it, I already found an engine. Gonna go pick it up next week, hopefully it's good. And then the fun process of getting this whole thing back into the car. It's been a while and we finally got an engine for Saab. Here it is, pulled straight out of a running car. I don't know, they said it has like 150,000 kilometers or 200,000 or whatever. Should be much better than the other one. This hose is pretty dead. As you can see, it has a clutch, so we're gonna have to replace the whole thing because ours is automatic. Ready to take off the transmission, had to remove the little half shaft. Then there's bolts. They hold the flywheel to the torque converter. You can get them from in here. You can undo them from the starter hole or from the bottom. There's like 5 or 6, I think, those little bolts. I undid all the bolts up top for the gearbox and it's already coming apart, so all we have to do is yank it off. Right now we got the engine in the air. We gotta reseal the oil pan and clean it out because this is a big common problem with these cars. Sludge gets into the oil pan, blocks the pickup tube and it blows up, so we're gonna do that. I also did the rear main seal because it looked a bit sketchy. Gearbox is ready to go on, so after we do this we can hopefully mate these two together. We gotta remove these few bolts to remove this baffle, clean everything out, clean the pickup tube, and we gotta replace this O-ring for the pickup tube in here. I got a new one, that's very important. Here's a good example on why you should clean your Saab oil pickup. The sump is not too bad, a little sludgy but not too bad, but remove the pickup and you can see how much stuff is in there. You know, miss a couple oil changes, have some silicone fall in there and your engine is gone, just like the other one. You can also see at the bottom there's like little pieces of crud. It's not metal, it's not anything like dangerous, it's just like sludge forming from the poor ventilation system on the Saab engines, and you can see it everywhere, there's chunks, so you gotta clean out this really well, and that's it. The transmission has been successfully reattached. Gotta put a couple of bolts back here. Then we gotta put in the starter. I also replaced all the evap seals, like this PCV box. Got new seals on there, so it's not gonna leak all over. I'm gonna reattach all the hard stuff that's back here that's almost impossible to get in the car, like this intermediate shaft, starter, all that good stuff. And then we can try to shove it back in. I also got all new engine mounts because everything is torn. This is the right side engine mount, this is the gearbox mount, and here we have an original Saab rear mount. So we're gonna put this one in first because it's annoying to get with the engine in. Okay, the engine is in, it's bolted in. Got the AC compressor back on. Working on some wiring here. Gotta figure out some stuff where it goes to the starter and stuff. Got all of this at the top. I gotta get the quick disconnects for the stupid fuel rail. These are so terrible. I got some plastic Chinese tools and this just doesn't come off. So it's super annoying. Exhaust manifold to do. Gotta replace all the studs because they're missing and reattach the exhaust. So over the last couple of days I did all the boring stuff like wiring, the hoses. Now I'm mounting the turbo, got the manifold on. successful first start. Still gotta connect a few things, add some shields and stuff, just trying to get it working first. Gotta figure this out. Somebody put red power steering fluid in, I gotta flush all that out, get the green stuff in, reattach all this stuff, get the wheels back on. But yeah, the engine works, sounds pretty good. Time for the maiden voyage. There's already a nice clunk in the front. That's good. The brake rotors are scraping a little bit, but when you turn it scrapes. There's the backing plates. Use your seatbelt, shut up. Everything's working. Except my left headlight, I think, because I stole the connector for the DIC. That's a little trick. If your DIC connector breaks, just use the headlight connector. Everything's good. No crazy smoke in the back. That's pretty good. So far, very smooth. No check engine, no errors. Already might have a buyer for this, so we'll see. Surely we'll take it for a drive or two, and then maybe we'll sell it. Who knows? We had a minor issue. There was not enough boost building. The gauge would only go up a little bit, so obviously some sort of leak. The tester said, like, I think I forgot the O-ring for the Cobra pipe where it goes on the turbo, so I did that just now. Very annoying to do while everything's in here, because weirdly when I took it all apart there was no O-ring there, so I don't know how that's sealed. We are fixing the APC valve connector that goes right there. All the wires falling apart, oxidized in the middle, so resoldering the pins back on here, so this is gonna be good. And then we're gonna go for test drive and hopefully we have a full boost Saab. So the Saab's still not making any boosts. It started leaking oil from the PCV box on the back, so first thing to do, get the box off, reseal that, and then we got a smoke machine to test the intake. Hopefully no leaks, or if they are, we fix them. And we hopefully make some boost, so no more issues, just like this guy's issues. Okay, we found a ton of boost leaks, fixed all of them. We're gonna go for a little test drive, hopefully finally make some boost. Gonna let it warm up a little bit, because it's been sitting for a few days. Yep, that's flat out, so no boost. I guess we're gonna have to replace the APC valve because it was smoking from the valve. I tried to seal the connector, but it's probably failed inside and it's leaking boosts or whatever. Currently I'm having a lot of problems with this new freshly swapped Saab, because it's not building any boost. The gauge for boost barely goes up, the car doesn't go anywhere, and it's not great. I was driving around with the diagnostic tool. It's not a Tech 2, so it's not completely accurate, but it was showing a bunch of misfires, so I think the direct injection cassette is on its way out. It's a bit cracked and stuff, so, you know, classic Saab stuff. So look what we got here. We got a Huco cassette. This is supposed to be like the old Sam ones. It's supposed to be like the original ones, so hopefully that works. It's like Hitachi, Huco, whatever. I want to test the evap lines just to make sure the one-way valves here are not completely open, because that would also ruin the boost. I also got a new expansion tank cap because it's leaking. It's always wet here, and hopefully we can figure this out, because otherwise we may be looking at a blown up turbo, because of course the old engine ran out of oil pressure, and no oil pressure is bad for the turbo, and the first thing to go is usually the turbo. So yeah, I have a lot of experience with Aero Saabs and blowing up turbos, so let's hope that's not the case. Okay, so I took out the upper lambda sensor, so we have a free-flowing exhaust because it's pre-cat, and we have way more boost now. So it's safe to say one of the catalytic converters fell apart and something's blocking the exhaust. When I took out the lambda sensor, it looked like the cat inside. It's a little bit weird, so I guess we're gonna have to take the cat off and figure it out, but good chance it's destroyed. I removed this and you could see the boost gauge was going to the middle instead of like the first line like it did before, so yeah, crazy. I don't know how this happened. Like the car was fine, then it got rod knock, we replaced the engine, and now somehow there's a blockage in the exhaust system, so that's pretty crazy. I guess it's time for removing the catalytic converter. After some massive struggles, we got the exhaust out. Sadly, can't just take off the downpipe because somebody welded the complete entire exhaust together, so had to take off the entire exhaust. And now we're gonna probably just cut it right there so we can see what's inside here. What's inside here, you could already see with the little endoscope camera a little bit that this one is not that great. And we need to see what's in this one. This is the secondary one. If we could get away with just smashing out the secondary one, that would be epic. Clearly not great. This is what came out the first cat. I guess it's stuff from the inside and like, what is this? Freaking molten lava. So yeah, this car had a blown up turbo in the past, so maybe it was from the turbo or the rod knocked engine or running like terribly, who knows. Basically, this first cat, you can maybe see there's a piece coming out of the top of the cat. Like, that piece is not supposed to move. Those are the insides of the first cat. The flexi, terrible. Second cat, if you can see, there's a bunch of stuff in there. I guess from this one exploding, it sent everything in here, and they're both dead. As I already have a buyer for this car, he said he didn't really want a catalytic converter or repairing it. He wants to do whatever, so I'm gonna do just that. So let's just say we quickly unclogged the cats. Now we're gonna put this exhaust back on there, and hopefully we can finally make some boost tonight. Well, that's a bit better. Finally! The gauge goes into the red, which is awesome. Because Saab owners are the biggest racers ever, and everything needs to say Saab, Saab, fucking Saab, and Saab. What we need is this, and it's removal time.